As vast and varied as the connotations of Hinduism are, the religion is most strongly identified with the Vedic tradition. When one speaks of textual authority in the context of Hindus, the first thought that occurs is that of the four Vedas and their ancillary texts. However, there is a vast body of literature other than the Vedas, which form a number of beliefs and practices of contemporary Hinduism. In today's episode of Culture Express, I acquaint you with a body of religious texts called the Agamas. The word Agama has been roughly translated to mean that which has been passed down, presumably from human sources. This broad definition may be applied to all Shaiva, Shakta and Vaishnava tantras and even to some Jain texts. But Agama texts are commonly understood to be Shaiva in nature. The Agamas are a vast repository of knowledge, both spiritual and mundane. The fourfold division of this content can be made as such. Vidyapada deals with metaphysics, Kriyapada deals with rituals, Yogapada deals with spiritual discipline, and Charyapada deals with daily conduct of a spiritual seeker. A famous tantric text, the Varahi Tantra, enumerates a different kind of classification. It speaks of some principal topics that an Agama should ideally have, including origin and dissolution of the universe, modes of worship of deities, different modes of spiritual discipline, purification rites, and a group of 6 magical rites called the Shatakarma. These Shatakarmas include Marana, vanquishing the enemy, Uchatana, ruining an adversary, Vashikarana, subjugation, Stambhana, paralyzing enemies, Vidveshana, causing hostility, and Swasthayana, rites for obtaining peace and prosperity. You have probably seen classifieds in newspapers or bills stuck in trains of so-called tantrics offering these services. It is on account of these Shatakarmas that Agamas are looked down upon. However, the deeper spiritual import of most of this content is lost on the lay reader. Historically speaking, the stream of Agamanta Shaivism probably originated from the Pashupata school and gave rise to a number of Agamic texts and tantric traditions towards the early centuries of the Common Era. But the Swachhanda Tantra asserts the traditional view that Agamas, like the Vedas, are of divine origin. It says Agamas embody spiritual wisdom that was communicated by Shiva to Parvati. Interestingly, there are also texts called Nigamas where the speaker is Parvati and the listener is Shiva. Both Agamas and Nigamas are therefore divine dialogue. About their divine origin, it is said that Agamas emerged from the 5 faces of Lord Sadashiva, which are Ishana, Tatpurusha, Shadyojat, Vamadev and Aghora. One class of Agamas propagate dualist Shaiva thought. Another class, called Raudra Agamas, propagate dualistic cum monistic Shaiva thought. Further, there are Bhairava Agamas, which are purely non-dualistic in their approach and are 64 texts in all. These 64 texts are classified in 8 groups. A vast majority of these texts are now lost and appear only as lists in commentarial literature. This litany may sound complex, but it serves to remind us that Hinduism is not just about the Vedas or Brahmanism. It is a web of complex and multitudinous traditions that manifest themselves directly and indirectly even today in our everyday lives. It is 100 different ways of finding one truth and attaining salvation. So, the next time someone's view of Hinduism doesn't sound like yours, just remember this short ride on Culture Express.